Because sometimes it can be like, why are you involved with this? This is weird. For me, it was somewhat organic. It wasn't like I was like, ooh, let me study this. It's like some kind of outside scientist or something. It was something that was organic. And so, you know, I had a kind of a little background as a graffiti artist. That's me in my graffiti art writing days. And these are the kinds of topics and discussions we would discuss, or things about spiritual or religious in nature, especially at that time in the 90s, when a lot of hip-hop at the time had a lot of spiritual elements infused into it. Like Wu-Tang Clan, for example. They were very popular in the 90s, and they loved to include all this 5% slang. 5% is a derivative of Orthodox Islam. So it's like 2 steps removed, which we'll talk about. But that is what got me into learning more about Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, and Clarence 13X. Because now you've got a derivative of a derivative. The nations of the gods and earths. So not only do you have the Nation of Islam, but from the Nation of Islam, which is not really Islamic in any meaningful way, you have the nations of the gods and earths. But sometimes they get together and hang out. These are Nation of Islam members at the school. Now this is a big deal in a way, because they used to have a very adverse relationship, but it's not really competition the way it was back in the day. When they first split off, there were some problems. But now, they're kind of pretty chill. The 5%ers, this is quoting from a book called Muslim Communities in North America. So notice, this is an academic book put out by New York State University of New York Press 94. It's actually called Muslim Communities in North America, book I have. Chapter 5. The 5%ers are a splinter group that broke away from the Nation of Islam in 1964 under the leadership of Clarence Puddin, 13X. They call him Puddin because he spoke so smooth. The name is derived from the belief that they are the chosen 5% of humanity who live a righteous Islamic life and thereby have manifested the true divine nature of the black man who is God or Allah. So this isn't just that Wallace D. Fard is Allah incarnate. This is every black man is God. And I know 5%ers say, what up, God? Every now and then you'll have Nation of Islam who will get together or do lectures on the 5%ers, which is interesting. This group, rather than the NOI, was primarily responsible for disseminating, popularizing, and reinterpreting the lessons or teachings of Elijah Muhammad among the adolescent generation of the 60s in the New York metropolitan area. In the 25 years since, the influence of the 5% Nation has grown enormously. Many of the lyrics in contemporary rap music make direct reference or strong allusion to 5% ideology. And what's interesting about this is, it comes out of Elijah Muhammad's teachings, who's known as Elijah Poole, renamed himself. He's a little red and white book called The Supreme Lessons, but the Nation of Islam viewed it as supposed to be only for insiders because it was esoteric. But what happened is Clarence said, no, the youth need to know this. So he started passing this on to them, because he was in the Nation of Islam, Clarence 13X originally. But they said, you're not supposed to be disseminating this to regular people. So it was one of the reasons he got kicked out. But it actually comes from a Nation of Islam source itself, and it's really weird stuff in there. So there's Clarence 13X again, and there are...
Wait, hold on. What 85% Elijah meant? Why is he got his eyes closed?
Oh. Hey, it's a picture, it's not his fault. His ears are open. But there's an actual photograph of him with it in New York, and there you see some of the youth of the day holding his picture. They call him Papa or Father Allah. Wow. That's what they really call him, Father Allah. There's Clarence 13X as an older man, and you have a whole bunch of influence of this in popular culture.
What does the 7 stand for?
Called Supreme Mathematics, and every number has a symbol to it, or a meaning to the number. I'll show you how to slide it later. But I don't know if you guys saw this, but in January of 2024, a movie that was executively produced by Jay-Z came out called The Book of Clarence. Did anyone see The Book of Clarence? I saw The Book of Clarence.
Jay-Z.
But notice the title.
Yeah. It's in Times New Roman?
No.
What's the 13X?
Right.
Yeah.
The Book of Clarence. Could be a coincidence that it's called Book of Clarence, and Clarence 13X is the 5% founders. But it has some elements of 5% ideology in the movie. And Jay-Z, as I'm going to show you later, which means right now, sometimes rocks, that in the name of, that says on the pendant, it's a close-up of it, says in the name of Allah. rocks that.
That's bizarre.
And he's the one who executively produced it. And this was a recent Hollywood movie. This isn't Jesus, this is Clarence. He's like
what man is a centurion?
So the way the movie portrays it is disciples, Jesus, black, Romans are basically like cops, and they're all white. So like it's a lot of let me see your papers from the Romans and stuff like that. It's an interesting movie. It has some interesting parts in it. My you know what's funny? You know my talk I did on well you guys weren't here yesterday, but some of you were. I did a talk yesterday on Gnosticism and the Quran. The reason why I revisited that topic earlier this year and was able to do a presentation is because when I watched this, I did a review of the show on my channel. And I said to people, hey, I know everyone's talking about the Nation of Islam or 5% influence in the movie, but what about the Gnostic Gospel influence? Because they got Jesus in the movie quoting Gnostic Gospels. So then I got into Gnostic Gospels again, and then it led me to Gnostic Gospels in the Quran. Anyways. So there's a whole bunch of artists who are into this, you know, RZA, Big Daddy Kane, Jay-Z, Lord Jamar, on and on and on and on. Carmelo Anthony there at the school, famous NBA basketball player, started their own restaurant called Allah's Kitchen. There's a street renamed in New York as 5%ers Allah and Justice Square. That's a real picture. So, you know, these groups that, you know, it's like they have a street named after them in New York City. Now, granted, it's the second name of the street, because sometimes they do that. I don't know if you've seen that. They'll give it a second honorary name sometimes in the States. So it's but it's this street name. You could refer to it as that. Basic beliefs. Black people are the original people of planet Earth. Black people are the fathers and mothers of civilization. The true science of supreme mathematics is the key to understanding men's relationship to the universe. Islam, this is their words, not mine, is a natural way of life, not a religion. Education should be fashioned to enable us to be self-sufficient as a people. Each one should teach one. And black man is God, and his proper name is Allah. So Allah stands for arm, leg, arm, head. So they have all these acronyms for stuff. So Allah is just a way to describe the blackness.
So they have no torsion.
Hey, ta-ta! And on and on and on and on. So the 120 degrees of life, it contains the supreme mathematics, the supreme alphabet, the 12 jewels of Islam, something called student enrollment, something called English lessons, but that's not really what they are. The Lost Found Muslim Mission #1. This is the context of the 120 degrees of life, this little book that is the basis of their beliefs. The Lost Found Muslim, okay, my favorite one is one called the Actual Facts. And they have the solar facts, and these are like things like how far is the sun from the earth and things like that. So if you meet one of these guys, sometimes they'll know the exact distance from the sun from the earth because they were forced to memorize it. And on and on. Supreme mathematics, #7 is God, the black man who is the original God. And sometimes they'll do this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Wow.
7th letter. So Rakim's
How do it in Greek alphabet?
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta. No. So these are the supreme mathematics. Here's the supreme alphabet. So the thing is, what this does is it enables them to talk in code. So they're not as prominent as they were. But when David Wood was in prison, ask him about this. The Muslims didn't run the prison system in Virginia. The Nation of Islam didn't run the prison system when he was in it. I don't know if this is the case now. The 5%ers ran the prison where he was at. So he used to have a joke. David always tells me, whenever I present on this, he tells me the same story. Oh, they said they're the 5%ers, so you know what I wrote on my Bible? I wrote real big, I wrote 100%. And they would say, hey, well, why you got 100% in your Bible there, David? I'd say, because you're 5%, I'm 100%. Ask him about it, true story. And they have acronyms for everything. Peace. Peace means positive energy activates constant elevation, and a whole bunch of other acronyms. So with that, guys, I gotta say, peace. If you want to know more about it, I've got a couple videos